My wife's home country of Ethiopia might be about to get the fastest train in sub-Saharan Africa. See, Ethiopian Airlines hub at the capital Addis Ababa is growing fast, but the existing Bole airport can't be expanded to handle the expected traffic over the coming years, so an absolutely massive new airport is being constructed near the town of Bishoftu. This airport will be Africa's largest, capable of moving over 100 million passengers a year when completed, and while it will be far from Addis Ababa proper, passengers will be able to quickly get downtown thanks to a speedy new passenger train. According to official announcements, the Bishoftu Airport train will run 38 kilometers, or about 23 miles, from Bishoftu Airport to the original Bole Airport close to Center City, with speeds of 120 to 200 kilometers per hour, or 74 to 124 miles per hour. That upper range is about the top speed of the Northeast Regional. While this doesn't quite meet everyone's definition of high-speed rail, most would describe this as higher-speed rail at the very least. And if the new railway were to reach 200 kilometers an hour, it would be the fastest train in sub-Saharan Africa. The new service will be overseen by Ethiopian Railways, and the project will be undertaken by a local company, according to Railway Gazette. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any schematics of the new railway online, so I decided to call someone in to draw them for me. This is Lucid Stu. Today, he'll be sharing his designs for Ethiopia's new rapid railway based on everything we know. This isn't an official plan, but it gives us an idea of what the new railway could look like.
Thanks, Classy Whale. Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again. And before we get to the specific routing for this higher speed rail line that I've picked, let's look at the terrain. The capital area of Ethiopia is mountainous, which is always simple for high-speed rail. Our target design speed is 200 kilometers per hour, which means we want a minimum curve radius of about 2 kilometers or 1.2 miles, but larger is better. For grade, we can lean on technology and work with slopes as high as 4%, but lower is better in that case. Ideally, we'll stay below 3%. There are two major transportation paths in the area, a railway and the Addis Ababa Expressway, which is a limited access highway. The railway is out because it's too windy and doesn't go where we're heading. The highway is out because it has grades approaching 6% right out of the gate, and this ain't Brightline West. The new airport is hemmed in somewhat by development to the northeast, so we'll need a slow speed curve into the airport station. If we're going to have tight curves, next to a station is the place to do it. The airport is in an elevated area and our curve drops down into a shallow depression from there. The grade max there works out to about 1.5% with requisite earthworks to smooth things out. Like always, I attempt to have the route avoid culturally sensitive areas like parks, schools, and houses of worship, in addition to being generally careful. But we'll have to take some damage here, and we may as well start keeping track of that. 20 structures and about twice that many properties will need to be taken here next to a large industrial area to get clear of development. At this point, we are on an elevated berm to cross over other rights-of-way. We'll cross two major roads and the aforementioned railway while entering a broad curve, which would facilitate reaching the top speed goal of 200 kilometers per hour, about the time our train would cross over those other tracks. The curve represents a gradually increasing grade as the route scales the southern flank of Yara Tarara, which tops out at 3,100 meters or just over 10,000 feet. That would cross over the Addis Ababa Expressway before heading west toward Bole International. This would be the steepest part of the route, topping out at about 2.8% grade. Here the route would intercept a line of foothills that are the cause of the 6% grade on the Addis Ababa Expressway. I'm going to navigate that obstacle with a tunnel. That tunnel will also be at a 2.8% grade. The route would be at 2.8% for 5 kilometers, which is reasonable. The tunnel would be 1,200 meters long and emerge from the ground just in time to rise up over 2 roads and a creek bed. I then have the route rising up onto a 3-kilometer long viaduct to cross a subsequent valley that would be as high as 25 meters. That is necessary to tackle the next obstacle, a 60-meter high escarpment that runs between Yara Tarara and a couple of other lower nearby mountains. If that viaduct is just high enough, we can cut into that escarpment without having to tunnel there as well. After emerging from the necessarily deep cut through the escarpment, the route would conform more closely to ground level while weaving between various villages that dot a high plateau between Yara Tarara's western flank and the newly developing parts of southern Addis Ababa. Any tricky elevation deviations would be handled with earthworks. This route's final large obstacle is the Akaki Wens Gorge. This is about 500 meters wide and 60 meters deep, so we're going to need a significantly large bridge. Complicating this is the proximity of a new major boulevard just 500 meters north of where I've chosen to cross the river. Elevation of both is such that a line can just squeeze under the road before rising to cross a small creek on the other side. From there, it's a pretty straight shot to Bole International. For our Bole International terminal, I will give you two options. The most direct and cheapest would be a 1 kilometer long tunnel under the runways and terminals. It might be nice to further connect to Addis Ababa's light rail system from there, which would require another 4 kilometers of tunnel, as there is no convenient place for that to surface. A surface option would include going around the airport, largely on viaduct, in the median of the large adjacent roads in the area. That would afford an elevated option for hooking up with the elevated light rail, which may or may not be more convenient. I have the go-around solution costing $20 million more to the airport, and it would be 4 minutes slower. All of that contributes to a reasonable estimated in-service time of 17 minutes, or 130 kilometers per hour on average. Not bad for a quick means of connecting two of the most important airports in not only Ethiopia, but also Africa as a whole.
Thank you, Stu. That was great. You made me even more excited for Ethiopia's railway future. Now we just need you to try Ethiopian stew. This is called Dorowat, and it's basically the California high-speed rail of stews because it takes forever to make and there's never as much of it as you want. Calcadon is very good at making it. So what equipment will run on this line? Ethiopian Railways has purchased Chinese rolling stock in the past, so I could see them going with a fleet of China's homegrown high-speed trains. These come in several variants, including for lower speed lines and shorter trips, and China's already exported them to other countries in Southeast Asia. The Bishoftu airport line could help them break into the African market. No matter what Ethiopian Railways chooses, it has to learn from the past. When the Addis Ababa light rail opened 11 years ago, it heralded a transportation revolution for the region. But since then, it struggled to keep trains operational due to problematic supply chains for parts and limited local knowledge on how to keep trains operational. It's imperative that Ethiopian Railways not repeat the same mistakes for the critical airport rail line. The new line will be running through agricultural land, and that could also be a problem. When I rode Ethiopia's mainline railway in 2023, vandalism and collisions with livestock, placed on the track for money according to a fellow passenger, had led to extremely reduced operating speeds, and it took us over an hour to travel from Addis Ababa to Bishoftu. If the new line wants to cover the same distance in 17 minutes, it's going to need to account for these dangers, perhaps through strict fencing and line-side enforcement. The last thing I would want would be to see Ethiopia's brand new railway reduced to Strasbourg Railroad speeds. With all of that in mind, I'm hopeful that Ethiopian Railways will confidently face the challenges ahead of them and create a fantastic new train for Addis Ababa. If you enjoyed this video, consider supporting me on Patreon, and take care until the next one.